The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Hello, 15-Point Plan friends. This is Jacqueline Smith and my co-host, Ryan Greigg. We are so excited that you're here, and we are going to dive into another conversation around the 15-Point Plan. Remember, our goal with the 15-Point Plan is to help you become happier, healthier, and have more energy and decrease stress. So, Ryan, do you want to introduce our special guest for today?
Yeah, Jacqueline, I'm so happy to be here today. And thank you to everybody that's been listening over the last couple of weeks. I've had a ton of people reaching out just in gratitude for the special guests that we've had on the show. So thank you to the guests that have been on the show. And thank you to everybody that has messaged us, just sharing some value, sharing some questions. So we appreciate you listening. And today we have another really cool special guest that I'm super excited to have a conversation with. He's a friend of mine. He's a business partner of mine. And he's just an overall really exceptional guy. I'd like to welcome to the 15-Point Plan podcast, our friend Jake DaRosa. Jake, say hello.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thanks for that introduction. I'll definitely Venmo you that cash for that exceptional guy comment. So
That's right, Jake. Just like I Venmo everybody out there for all the subscribe buttons that they hit, the like buttons, the share buttons. But Jake, today we're having a pretty cool conversation with you. It's clearly in regards to the 15-Point Plan, right? And really how the 15-Point Plan can give us more energy and reduce our stress. Today we're talking about alcohol, Jake. Today we're talking about alcohol and what a life without alcohol looks like. And we're going to hear your story because you've lived a life without alcohol for many years now. And you've done some pretty dang impressive things. And I would love to hear what your life looks like now, but we got to go back a little bit to hear where you came from. But before we do that, I wanted to just attach a couple ideas in regards to alcohol to the 15-Point Plan. And then I want to hear Jake's story. But first off, I got to throw out the disclaimer, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and folks of all kinds. If you drink, that's okay. If you drink and you like to have a drink or two, that's okay. This is not a conversation telling you what to do in any aspects of your life or telling you not to drink. This is just some experiences from our lives and how an alcohol-free life has benefited us. So please don't take this as a podcast telling you not to drink or telling you what to do. We're just here to enhance your life and talk about what an alcohol-free life can do for you. For example, did you know that the average beer has got about 150 calories in it? So if we're taking 3 or 4 beers at the end of the day, Jake, that's 4, 5, 600 calories that we're drinking just in that beer. Not to mention the hydration behind that. For every beer that you drink, you got to drink another 16 ounces of water. So if you're already having a hard time with hydration and you're adding alcohol to the mix, now you got to drink twice as much water. And then let's not even get on the fact of what happens with the hangover and how challenging all the things that we do on this plan can be in the next morning. Nobody wants to meditate or journal. All we want to do is sleep in if we're hungover. So not having a hangover is just one more benefit. But Jake, let's talk about your life a little bit. Let's talk specifically about your life and what it looked like just not that long ago, because we're not talking 20 or 30 years ago. Take us back a little bit, Jake.
also let's not forget the bad decisions made and how I kept Taco Bell in business. So those added extra calories after a good night of drinking there. So In-N-Out, Taco Bell, all those stuff. So I've been sober 9 years. I'd say I was a professional drinker for about 20 years, from about 18 to 38 is when I chose. Was it 38? It was April 12th, 2014. So yeah, it's been about 9 years. 10 years will be next year. And kind of to give you some background on me, I grew up, great household, everything. My folks, they like to have a good time. They drank alcohol. And probably about the age of 18, maybe 17, that's when I kind of started drinking. So and it wasn't anything major. But as soon as I hit that college age and started hanging around some friends, we really got heavy into drinking. And, through that journey of 20 years worth of drinking, I did a lot of it amongst other things. And it was kind of that, I think it was when I was that 38, I'd actually walked my buddy out. It was epic weekend in most people's books. Won't go into details of it, but he had crashed at my place. We had gone golfing and the day before, and I walked him out and I said, "Hey man, drive safe." And I actually literally he took off. I looked at my car. I had a scratch down I had a Honda Accord at that time. I had a scratch down the side of it. I had no clue where it came from. All I know is we were out drinking the night before.
Huh.
And then it was kind of that moment where, like, almost rock bottom, or you look up and you start looking at your life. It was the weirdest thing. I remember it was cloudy, it was windy. I looked up, looked at the leaves. I lived in an apartment at the time. And at that point in time, I owed the IRS and franchise tax board about $150,000. Um, I had zero assets to my name, so I rented an apartment. And at that point in time, I had zero investments, so no IRAs, no anything. And it was kind of that point in time where I just was like, what am I doing? That was the question I asked myself. What am I doing? This isn't the life my parents would want me to live. This isn't how I was brought up. It's just, I'm not, and mind you, too, I'm 38 years old at this point, right? So it's not like I'm 27 and I'm like, okay, I got time to make up. To me, I felt old. And there was a lot of self-worth issues too. And I think that kind of propelled into that drinking piece of, I'm not worthy, I owe all this money, things like that. So I think that kind of pushed in that drinking. And that's when I decided my first decision was I'm gonna take a break. I didn't know how long it was for. I didn't know how long it was gonna be, and I just stopped. And so that's kind of my journey. And this is too, remember, I started in mortgage industry when I was 25 years old. So this is 14 years into my career, and I had a pretty successful business at that point. Well, successful on the outside. If you looked at finances, right? I spent my money in not so smart ways, a lot of partying, a lot of trips, a lot of being dumb with my money. So
Right.
it was a situation where it looked great on the outside, but realistically, you pull back the curtain and there's some challenges.
You were like a lot of business people, Jake. Like you said, you were successful. You were doing well in the mortgage business. You were doing quite well. But like you said, you were $150,000 in debt. I want to make sure people heard that. Like just 10 years ago, you were $150,000 in debt. You had zero assets. You had zero investments. And now, just not that long later, we have 300 organizations across the country, and you are constantly used as one of the examples of the highest profitability of a team.
Yeah.
So you went
Yeah.
from that to being, in the top percent of 300 teams of profitability. So talk to us more about, you said you decided to take a break.
Yeah, I decided to take a break. And that break turned into, a week. I felt good. Didn't have the hangovers. In fact, when people ask me what I miss most about drinking, I drink so much. It was literally every weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and depending on how it felt Sunday, I would go, Sunday fun day. And so people ask me, what do I miss about drinking? And I say, I actually miss the way I felt after a string of weekends of being hungover and not feeling good. That one weekend when I would take a break, that feeling, but now it's just every day is that feeling, not being hungover, not having to worry about maybe texts or phone calls I had to send because I made some bad decisions the previous night, said some things that I shouldn't have, right? So it turned into a week. I felt good. Turned into a month. Felt good. And I just decided I haven't drank since. I mean, it's it was a weird progression, but I decided to go. Then I okay, I'm gonna try it for a quarter, and then I'm gonna try it. Okay, half a year, and then next thing I'm into it, a year. And people ask me too, still to this day, do you go to AA meetings? I didn't. The AA is an incredible organization, right? Nothing but the utmost respect for them. But I didn't go. I just made a decision in my life that wasn't me and that wasn't part of myself. And so at that point, I just started going through, and a year went by, 2 years went by, and I found ways, because the biggest thing that I felt was in my journey is everything I did to make it fun, it had to include alcohol, right? Go to the movie theaters, we'd sneak 40s in, we'd sneak 22, we'd sneak alcohol in. go go bowling. Well, we're drinking. Everything I associated fun with had to do with alcohol. And so in our industry too, I mean, gosh, you look at happy hours, they're
Yeah.
all over the place. Let's go meet for a
All over.
mix or
Yeah.
drinks. And so I just had to define fun for myself. And I mean, today I go to bars, I go drive my drunk buddies home, right? I am designated driver and I still have a good time. So
It's
Jake, I
funny.
got. Oh, go ahead,
Oh,
Jacqueline.
it's funny, Jake, because on the 15-point plan, one of the points is hobbies. And for a really long time, I didn't have any hobbies. And we did a hobby episode. So, and this isn't about me, so I'm not going to get into it. But I used to joke and say that my hobby was going for happy hour. Like, why can't that be a hobby? Or I really liked wine. So, yeah, my hobby is going to drink wine on a patio somewhere. And it's interesting because I gave up alcohol over 500 days ago now, and I have hobbies now.
Hmm.
So I really relate to
that,
what you said about like everything, like it wasn't fun, um, you know, without it. Definitely.
I'll give you kind of also to add on I actually had a verb named after me. So this is how bad I was is my friends would say, let's go out and get jaked. So they threw a D at the end of my name. Let's go get jaked. And that meant getting drunk. So
See,
Oh.
and I thought I was being creative calling you two Jacqueline today. Steven, now we got our laugh point too. Hey, Jake, I got a question for you though. I've had this issue in the past because I'll do these challenges, right? Where I'm like, okay, I'm going to run for 100 days. I'm not going to eat sugar for 30 days. I'm going to do this for X amount of days. And the problem that I encounter is on day 101, it's freaking party time. Like if I didn't do sugar for 30 days, day 31, I'm eating everything. And I realize that like I celebrate with the thing that I didn't do a long time. How do you avoid that when you set yourself up on a time to not drink for a while? Like if you said I'm not going to drink for a year, come day 366, it's like celebration time. How do you not let that happen?
I think you got to have a start point. And when I say that is I always look back at what my life was like prior to stopping drinking and how it's become since I stopped drinking. And then I make that call of do I want to go back to that or do
Yeah.
I enjoy the way it is after? And you just have to make a commitment on that piece of it. And just every time it's presented or somebody has let's go drink or you don't drink. No, I don't drink anymore. But I'll still be fun. Let's go out and let's go hang out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Jake, you're fun without alcohol. I realized I am too, but who knew? But you know what? I think Ryan related to these challenges is because I did the same thing. I would do like Whole 30 or 75 hard, and you don't have alcohol in 75 hard, that sort of thing. But I don't think any of those challenges are long enough to where it's like a lifestyle change and you learn how to live with those new habits. Like you're literally just abstaining, right? So 30 days, no sugar. You're just abstaining from sugar, but you're not really having to learn how to actually live sustainably without it. And so I did the same thing with alcohol. I would always do these challenges and then same thing. Yeah. Like day 76, you're going out for margaritas and tacos or whatever. But when I did 1 year commitment, it was like, oh, I had to learn like going on a trip. Like one of the first things I would do when I went to the airport was I would go to the bar and get a mimosa or whatever. It was like the start of vacation, or even that going on vacation. I had to learn, okay, well, what do people do on vacation when they're not just sitting
Yeah,
around
right.
people, you know? And so there's all these things. I had to learn how to go to weddings. I had to learn how to, because I'm not going to like hole up for an entire year. I can hole up for a month or 75 days. But for a full year, you really do have to learn to live with it. And then I think that's where you can experience what you're saying, Jake, where you can go, oh, okay, like look at my life now instead of like, oh, look at this month where I was just like muscling my way through not having something. Does that make sense?
Percent. I agree with that. And also too is the people. What I noticed too is the people I hung around with changed. Right.
Yeah.
So it was interesting because I lost a lot of quote friends, but what I realized is after 1, 2, and 3 and 4 months, those friends were really just drinking buddies, right? Because my friends that were really friends, they were the ones encouraging me. I had friends that would go out, we'd go out, and I wouldn't have seen someone I used to back in the day, and they'd say, let's do a shot. I said, I don't drink anymore. And then they'd start ridiculing me, right? I'll quit being this or quit being that. And my buddy would jump in and literally shut him down. No, he doesn't drink
Hmm.
anymore. Stop pressuring him. It was pretty cool to have that
Hmm.
support as well. And those were your true friends, not just your drinking buddies, right?
Mhm.
100%. Yeah, those are your true friends. And those are the people that you probably have keeping you accountable, right? Like you mentioned AA. And I imagine if somebody's going through this type of change, they need some accountability partners. But Jacqueline, I had this thought because you really nailed that. Like a year is a long time. And there's all these numbers, right? They say 66 days to make a habit, maybe 100 days to make a habit. But
Mhm.
that's to make a habit. I don't think people realize what it takes to break a habit, and especially a habit like we've had of like a decade or 2 decades of drinking. That's going to
Mhm.
take equal amount, if not double time, to recreate yourself. You're not breaking that habit. You're actually completely recreating yourself, Jake. You've done that. Like you are 100% a different person from the guy April 12th, 10 years ago.
Mhm.
So we're
Right.
not just breaking habits. We are literally having to recreate ourselves when we've gone through something like this for 2 decades. So I think that stood out to me, Jacqueline. I can't say like, let me not eat sugar for 30 days or let me not do something for 60 days when I've done it for 10 years.
Right.
It's not gonna get me through to change. It's just gonna be a little, it's gonna do me some benefit, but it's not gonna allow me to really change like Jake has changed into who he is today.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you go back to like what Jacqueline was saying too is how do I have fun at a wedding? How do I do this? You're like you saying, you're recreating yourself, right? Where fun used to be, let's go out to the bar, meet up, drink a couple beers, and then take it into shots and whatever. That used to be super fun. Now it's hey, Jacqueline, she picked up hobbies, right? What do you do to replace that time you normally would? For me, I like to sleep, so I usually just go to sleep. But
You know what though? I went to a wedding this last, I don't know, when summer, and I guess that was a year ago now. And you know what I did? I played cornhole with a group of friends, and I saw everyone else was standing in a drink line. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I would totally be normally over in that drink line and I'm having fun like kicking everyone's butt at cornhole over here, you know?" So it's like you redefine fun, I think, and then you find that, oh, it's actually more fun in a lot of ways, because you have different experiences that don't make you feel bad after them.
that's true. That is true.
Absolutely. And one tip I
Luckily,
learned that you guys have probably gone through, if you're at that wedding or you're at that happy hour and you're a person that has drank in the past, but you don't want to drink anymore and you feel uncomfortable going to the bar, here's what you do. You get a soda water with a lemon or a lime, and then you have a drink and nobody knows the difference. And you can be in that situation and nobody's going to say, hey, why don't you have a drink? Hey, why aren't you drinking? Because you got to drink. It looks like a drink and nobody has to know. So you can have a little more comfort with yourself. If you aren't comfortable doing that, now you got to drink. It's okay. And your brain is signaled because you're holding something. It's just like people that smoke, they hold a carrot. Like you're triggering that moment in your brain. So you're telling your brain, hey, I got something that's okay. It's going to kick that can down the road a little longer for you to prevent you from drinking.
I think another thing that happens too, Ryan, is and Jack is also letting your friends know and giving them permission. One of the things that I would do is people are like, "Oh, can I drink in front of you?" And I
Mm-mm.
just would say to them, I'd say, "You know what? I'd be more offended if you didn't drink because I don't. So I'm good. Go ahead and do what you do. I'm here. I'm hanging out. Let's talk. Let's have some good conversation and don't worry about me." And so I think that's a big piece too of the people that you want to keep in your world because you're changing doesn't mean they have to and
Yeah.
don't expect them to and just make it okay for them to act how they would normally around you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I tell people, like, I'll tell you if I'm like, I don't know, having a day where it's bothering me or something, and I'm with a friend, like I'll be transparent. I'll say like, I really was, but I haven't. It's weird, but I just tell them that. Like I would tell you if it was bothering me today. but go ahead, because it doesn't. Yeah.
But that makes it easy, Jake. When you put it out there, right, then everybody's like, okay, that's cool. That's fine. And then it's just clear with everybody. And, the cool thing is by you keep doing that, even if you're not intentionally influencing your friends and family, they might just, so, you know what, Jake, I've been watching you, man, and you've been having fun without being drunk. And I've seen you like make the change. And can you show me? Can you share with me? After time, when we don't push it onto people and we just keep doing what feels good for us.
Yeah.
Maybe we can help them too. And then we can have one more accountability friend in alignment with us and our goals.
Speaking of helping.
Go ahead, Jack.
Well, I wanted just to say, like, there's probably some people out here, it's not a problem for them. They are happy. There's nothing going on, but maybe there's some people listening that come across this and they're like, oh my gosh, like I get jaked also every weekend and I want to stop, or I'm just kind of curious about it. How, like, I know you've helped a lot of people and shared your story, and how would they reach you, and or what would you tell them, like, on how to get started if they're just even thinking or curious about quitting?
First, I'd just say you can call or text me. I mean, I'm an open book. I don't push anything on anybody. I just share my experiences. So 916-402-5786, and just find someone that maybe has gone down the path that you may be considering or looking to, and reach out to them and, just have a conversation with them. I think I've had a lot of people. I share my journey and I celebrate it every single year. And I don't do that to say, look at me. I've actually had folks, a good friend of mine that I used to party with. This is kind of a downer story, but I'll share it real quick. He reached out to me and on Facebook after I had shared it, called me. We had a really hour and a half long conversation, and he wanted to get help and wanted to stop. And unfortunately, 3 months later, he passed from liver failure. But there's people out there that actually want to help and that, or want to talk to someone who maybe has done it and has no judgment on them, because like I was the worst of the worst. I mean, you could ask buddies I used to run with, and so for me, I just have a conversation around it. Here's what I did, here's what helped me, here's some little tips and things like that. So that's where I would start is you can reach out to me, probably anyone here, and or reach out to someone that that doesn't drink, and just talk to them. Most people are going to be super open about it. That's what I found.
Awesome.
That's really kind of you, Jake, to put your phone number out there for people to reach out, because I know that first step is probably super hard. In fact, I know from experience, it is super hard. So if you have even just a thought, if you're thinking, you know what, man, it would be good to talk to Jake. He just gave you his phone number. Take him up. I guarantee it would impact you. Jake, thank you. Jake DaRosa, DaRosa. Look him up online if you're in the greater Sacramento area, California area. He's got all your real estate related plans and needs covered for you. And check him on Instagram and on all other social platforms. His phone number was there. So just rewind a minute or two and send Jake a message just saying, thanks for being on the podcast today, and give him a call. I promise it would be worth it if that would be something of value to you. Don't forget to check Jacqueline on Instagram as well, Jacqueline Ray Smith. You can find all of the information for the 15-point plan on winmakegive.com. Don't forget to share this podcast with anybody that might enjoy it, as well as previous episodes. Jake, any last words for our listeners before we let them go for the day?
Nothing wise, my friend. Just I'd say if you're thinking about it, just take an action. Just take an informational step, right? If it's something that you think could help you. Worst case scenario, you find out that it's not for you and you continue on your life. But with best case, maybe you find out that there's some opportunities. So
100%. Well, 15-point plan. As always, we thank you for listening. Jacqueline, take us away.
Thank you, everyone. And Jake, thank you so much for your transparency and just your openness with your journey. I know that you're probably going to hear from some people. And if you are out there and you have a journey with alcohol that you want to share with us, find Ryan and I on Instagram. And Jake, what's your Instagram really quick?
Jake_DaRosa, DaRosa.
Okay, awesome. We love to hear from you. We're going to continue on with a few more special guests and some fun episodes coming up. Ryan and I are going to do a favorite things, some products that we love that are related to the 15-point plan. And until next time, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye, everyone.